Hey, what's up, everyone? It's E here with 25K Trading. I'm back. So here on the last hour of the trading day, we're gonna see probably not a lot of action. Why? It's because it's already happened. What happened this morning? Well, the Fed essentially said they'll buy everything. So really, their story didn't change, but it really signaled to me a matter of urgency. So that's why today's trade really doesn't matter because nothing ever really did happen today. Let's get right into the technical analysis of it. So essentially, the market went down on Sunday overnight. It hit a limit and it stopped trading until this morning, where it had a pretty good pop to pretty much back to even for the day. I've been looking at SPY for the whole day, so you might be looking at Nasdaq. Still have the 6,000 target on Nasdaq. Just not sure right now. I'm having doubts that it'll get there before a big pop happens. And why do I think a big pop will happen? It's because right now we have a lot of politics going on. We have a lot of politics. I think that might change how we look at this virus going forward because I think with the different kinds of aids and financial products you can pretty much give to the uh, to the people and try to support. Essentially, I'm saying the market can be manipulated. I think the market will be manipulated to the upward side because no one wants to see everyone lose money, right? But as a trader, I think that there's going to be some manipulation involved. Also, because we've dropped so far, that I'm beginning to think that um, a big pop could be coming. You can kind of see like a head and shoulders top forming, right? We already have the monthly confirmations on the monthly candles to see reversal candles coming from the top side or a rejection to the downside, right? And I'm forecasting, before all this started, might have seen some of my tweets. I'm looking for this monthly candle to be essentially let me just get rid of my lines here. Three red crows, which pretty much seems like a reversal, right? So, the Elliott wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Three is the biggest wave. You can see right here, maybe the monthly can show each 1, 3, 5 wave, the down waves, right? So we have the 1, 3, and then maybe another down monthly. So I'm thinking around maybe, 200 is where I'm going long for the SPY. Yeah, I think a lot of people do say, it can drop all the way down more than that. But good solid retrace to, the low 200s, 200 exact would pretty much suit my need as in terms of a downward drop. Again, I think you can't keep, reading these news articles and seeing all these people sick. I mean, it's already bound to happen. It's already factored in. The question is, now we look towards the future. Um, where can we bounce back up to, right? So I think with that we can easily bounce back to 240 here on SPY, which is pretty much the lows. I like the round numbers. So you can see the head and shoulders kind of forming over here, right? I'm looking for something like that to happen, and maybe that the maybe the bump upwards here will be maybe a four retracement followed by a five downwards hit down to the 200 target. That's the best case scenario. But look, we have another month till this closes. The date of today is March 23rd. We have a whole trading week in a couple of days before it rolls over to April. So and also in the first of April, you got to see the jobs report, right? The jobs report is going to be really bad. So between the jobs report and also right now, I'm expecting a big bump. Uh, so everyone's working from home. Great, that's awesome. So I think that we can all be a little vigilant in terms of what we can see uh, in terms of the bounce here, right? It's coming, but I want to focus here on the last hour, right? Leave my lines here. So you can kind of see I had, Pretty much this was the intraday trade, right? In the future, I hope I can just leave my computer running, put up some trade ideas, everyone can talk on here. But I really haven't had time to do that kind of stuff. But this is what I saw this morning. So I had, as you remember, a line here at 200. That was pretty much, um, I'm sorry, 220. That's pretty much where my zone, I'm sorry, where my level, where my clone indicated there was some kind of resistance. We broke to the downside, had a little intraday pop, right? Look, it looks like these candles are really small, but in the end, you realize these are 3% moves to the upside and downside. These are not small moves, right? So if you're trading futures, trading anything leverage, that's a big move. You'll see we really haven't moved. So from this morning, I said we haven't moved. I really say that again. I think we have a little baby drop coming, and then it's gonna be a bull from there. Again, we can also fall out and drop straight down to the straight abyss. But I think because of how the stops are programmed, how the circuit breakers, that's really hard for us to take the market down 20% one day. So we're gonna have to let it, the circuit breakers pretty much do their job, and this is gonna be a multi-month kind of thing. Uh, like I also did, home analysis because looking to buy more real estate, right? The lagging effects, it lags maybe a year or so after the initial event. So these targets to the downside, I think they'll come. Just not sure when they're gonna come. Um, just a little bit afraid to short at these levels. I would much rather see a bigger pop upwards. I closed a few of my shorts today. I still had plenty of short positions open, evaluating what I should do today in the last closing hour. We have like 50 minutes left to go here. Um, So, I mean, we can just see what happens. What's up, guys? How you guys doing? I missed you guys. So, I have a little bit of free time, quarantine in my house. Can't do any fun things. Can't get into any trouble. So, guess I'm here trading again. I just want to reflect a little back on the last month or so. I've been pretty lucky and fortunate that I was able to close my long positions to the top. I think that, like, out of all the things I've done, that's pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie, like, I felt really good after that. I don't even care how much the market falls or how much the market drops. To me, it doesn't really matter. I'm just happy I closed at the top because I think as a believer on the cycles, uh, how it can get to the top might take more than just a few months. It might take a few years, you know? So, like, getting back up there, it's going to be a little struggle, I think, for this market. I don't think it really matters now where we really enter a long position unless it drops below these 2016 levels, which I surely think the market totally can. Um, I think that any long position now could be easily longed for the next 10 years. I think the coronavirus is defeatable. The only reason why I saw that reversal, if you guys been paying attention to my social media, it's because I saw those reversal candles. And also, I've been working in China, right? China a lot for the last few years. And just by telling how they operate over there and how we operate here, I knew the coronavirus was going to be a problem because of how communist China is. It simply was that China's communist. So you put those together, kind of figured out in my head. I'm like, I got enough good gains here. Let me close and go short. So now we're here. We're at this level where we kind of dropped down to the 2016 levels and don't know where it could possibly go from here. So, um, yeah. So podcast today is called the margin call. It's because what happened in the last hour, right? We had the margin calls coming up. It was a pretty volatile day, so I imagine a lot of accounts be kind of liquidating here towards the end. Also, there are people out there that didn't close their accounts yet. I know there's a lot of people out there that haven't closed, and it could be because of regulatory issues. It could be because of security issues. It could be because of a lot of the issues. But I know a lot of people, the thought here is 2016 was bad, 2018 was bad. Again, trade war was bullshit. It didn't mean anything. It's man-made. all this stuff is bad, so I'm gonna keep holding. But we gotta realize this virus can change how we do things in the future permanently. It can change how we live our lives. Everyone has to be a little less closer to each other outside, social distancing, right? I mean, it's understandable. So, um, yeah. So I don't know where the market's gonna go from here, but we have a downside targets. We hit a lot. I hit a lot of my downside targets, but don't know where for sure. Where for sure. So I th so let's just go back down here. We have the market dropping in the end of the day, right? So essentially today was a no nonsense day because of the pivots we hit, right? We had a high pivot at the beginning of the day to 156, and we had a low pivot here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I totally thought, right? I totally thought this is the wrong day. See, this stuff is confusing to me, looking at this all day, looking at these movements, thinking they're 15 minutes. Essentially, we had a pivot to the high top, 228. I was like, those aren't the right numbers. Pivot to the high top, 228. Pivot to the low, around 218. So we had like a $10 range here in the SPY, and that's all it's doing. It's right. It's We had this range where we opened at during the futures overnight, so it wants you to come down to that point and then bounce back to the highs of today. That's There's no direction here. There's no decision here. It can break anywhere up or down. And this closing hour, I think, will tell us what direction it really wants to go because here, a lot of things are get closed and rested for tomorrow. So if we drop here into the day, it means that there's still a lot of people panic selling. I have no doubt there again, people are panic selling, and uh, this could be once again a liquidation to the downside as we get closer to the end of the day. It's 12:13 right now. We have 50 minutes of market trading. Um, Coming back, I staring at the screen, right, and it's so boring. Oh my God, like quarantine is boring, but like oh my gosh, stock trading is exciting, but still boring at the same time, if you know what I mean. So like I'm like so bored these days. So bored. So it's a random thought. But anyways, this I think it's dropping, right? It's uh going to go to two directions, up or down. And right now we had a pivot point to the top side, pivot point to the downside, hit the pivot point to the top side twice. Theoretically, maybe I don't know. Maybe once it hit that bottom point again, see how it goes from there. Um, once again, futures gap downwards. That's something we can't deny. I think a lot of people bought in anticipation for this mega deal that was going to happen in Congress today. That was blocked due to insufficient votes. I think the big reason why it was blocked was because of essentially the stock buybacks, dividends, blah blah blah. The Fed, cut everyone early and said, "Hey, we're going to do this. We're going to buy stocks probably." Right? We're gonna do all this, shady stuff the government shouldn't be doing. But you know what? They're gonna go ahead and do it before Congress does. So right now it's a battle in Congress whether they're gonna provide additional relief. I personally think it's quite stupid to provide relief. But once again, who am I to judge? I really don't care if they provide relief or not, and that's from a purely selfish standpoint. I'm sure people out there are suffering, and this bill needs to come out. But for me, I honestly can't. I don't have opinion. I don't even honestly. I probably they're talking about this $1,500 handout or $1,000 handout, whatever. Um, um, I won't even qualify for that, right? I don't think I'll even qualify for the check that comes back, right? Or whatever, how the tax rebate or however they're doing it. I won't qualify. So like none of this really matters to me. Again, from a purely selfish standpoint, I literally have no bias in this. Whether or not the coronavirus affects me or not, that's a health and safety personal issue. But when it comes to finance, I personally don't have a bias. I'm not really for or against anything. It's just kind of like a standstill point where we have to hunker down. But let's get into this from my bias standpoint. So I think that there is a side that's overblowing this, and there's a side that's underestimating this. So to get there in the comfortable medium is where the stock market is doing, right? Um, yeah, I mean, it's really not trending anywhere. Like we go to the small scale, the 5 minute, right? We have this, right? Trending up, trending down. Like, what is it making? Want to fool everyone on the 5 minute with Head and Shoulders? Probably not, right? It's getting dragged to the downside here. It just blew pretty much everyone that shorted too late this morning, and now it's blowing everyone that thought it's going up this morning. Like, so if you're an intraday trader, I completely get why you're scared. That's why, stick to the 1 or 2% gains. Like, they go for these 10% huge ones. I mean, they're awesome, but if you're not swing trading these days, don't go for too crazy of gains to the top side nor to the downside. Because I mean, if we were 1,000 points up here, the Nasdaq I was like, go for it. Like short to your heart's content. But here, right now, at this point, I don't think that's a wise idea. I think both positions intraday trading should have good stops. And honestly, the best trades I've had so far um, are just setting a point. Like pretty much looking at my clones, looking at my levels, telling me, oh hey, and just like and putting this into the computer and making it work. Really like just set the trade up. Doesn't have to be a home run. And I think the day that this does bullishly pop, I think it's gonna run 10%, 10%, like that in 3 days. Just complete, absolute crushing the Bears. Like no stopping, no breathing, like not even a retrace, just like boom, 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 boom to the upside. That's what I'm scared of. Because once again, I was really proud of myself for closing out those longs when the market was about to tip, a month ago, right? So I want to be sure that the gains I made to this downside, I'm not gonna lose them back up to the upside. Matter of fact, I want to capture the upside too. I'm not biased. People are overblowing this to a certain degree. As long as everyone can be sanitary and listen to the quarantine, this should be over in a month or two. Question is, are people going to listen to quarantine, right? Are people going to listen? I don't know. Who knows? Okay, so let's talk about oil. DJK, let's talk about oil. So um, oil, we've had oil dip to I think $16. I don't recall it's off the top of my head, but today I saw natural gas. Natural gas looked good too long. I'm not gonna lie. It's at like a multi-year low. It's staying there. It's almost like it's accumulating. So I'm gonna lie. I think along on the natural gas would not be a bad choice. Matter of fact, let's go look at it real quick. I think we're so this is UNG. Ew, so so ugly. I imagine there'd be some sort of decay in here too. Right, so we're at multi-year lows here. Um, Honestly, I don't even know, dude. Like, because, well, the chart says too long. Oh my God, the chart says too long. So I don't know. So if you want a long here, my guess. After looking this and after what I was thinking yesterday, I want to go in. I think I want to go in. I just don't know because I like to keep track of my indexes. I don't really like playing with these commodities anymore. They can make my head spin sometimes. But like we're here, right? We see this $12.20, 19 cents kind of level here, and that's his generated line. Um, so I think we hit that point. I honestly think, if we do get that pop in the equities market and SPY and QQQ, I think it's going to bring natural gas and oil down. But I mean, so natural gas and oil up. But I don't think that oil going down would necessarily cause natural gas to go down either. I don't think these are really correlated in terms of when if oil goes up, this goes up, that goes just down. I mean, yeah, in a very loose, weak kind of way, but it's just because the net exporting thing, which I don't want to get into. Like I kind of want to watch the SPY here close. Go back to the 15-minute chart. It's just chilling, such big moves during the day. Intraday moves are big, but it looks like everyone fell asleep here. Yeah, the ETF is kind of crappy, right? Right? Because it's based on futures, right? I think UNG is also based on futures like USO, so they have that decay in them because they track futures, right? Like GLD doesn't really track futures; it tracks gold. Like it has physical gold. Um, yeah, but I think Natty, honestly, Natty could be a good thing to long. I'm again not really investment advice, but man, I don't hate it. Definitely don't hate it. I just that'd be just giving to me too much hand on the plate right now. But I think you know what? I'll just long some natural gas just for giggles. Why not? So so while we have a little bit of time, and I know a lot of guys here are some people that I recognize. I know you guys have been visiting my page back in the day, so I'll give you a little background of what happened. Essentially, for the last few years, I've been working on a startup. The startup was about social media influencers. It was a Chinese app, and we created it in China. We're headquartered in Beijing. So I went abroad. I traveled all across the world. Had a great time, actually, but we ran that fucking company into the fucking ground. So I'm just literally chilling in the United States. I got Airbnbs to manage. Um, I did a little bit of consulting. Um, Essentially, I don't know. I have a pretty good life. Just chilling in just chilling. I'm in Los Angeles right now. I live right in the border of Culver City and Westwood, if you know where that is. Uh, so life's been good, and that's why I came back to trading mainly because life's so good. You get kind of get bored, or of a lot of you just get bored of doing nothing sometimes, right? So I've been doing a lot of nothing. So I mean, I've been everywhere. I was like living in Costa Rica last year. I was doing some crazy shit. Like I think I literally went insane. Sometime in the last 3 years, I think I went insane at one point. I've also done some great things in the last 3 years too. Don't get me wrong. I've done some amazing, incredible accomplishments, but I've done some crazy shit too. So all I have to say is I'm happy I don't have to pay taxes this month or next month. 2 more months. get a little break, but doesn't matter, extend anyways. But I gotta look at that again. I hope they don't mean interest. No interest getting paid on that 2-month extension. Yeah, so it's really funny. Like I live in Los Angeles now, but my property is all in Philadelphia. I literally just travel in Airbnb. I think this Airbnb kind of model can apply to a lot of things in life, and it's pretty good. Obviously, it's not really good right now, because everyone's literally canceling, and I have no new bookings, which I really don't care because it's 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 just something you do for a little bit of extra money, right? Um, but yeah, Los Angeles is great. Uh, but I was all in Europe. I was in northern Italy. Oh my God, that place was beautiful. Now I'm gonna, if I ever go back, it's like, hey, this is my memory of Italy before the coronavirus. This is the Italy that we're seeing on TV right now. It's pretty crazy, right? It's just like, how could that happen? And when you're up in those kind of cities, unless you're in Milano, right, everything is spread apart. Everything is really far away from each other because they have, when you live in the countryside, everything is there's some mountains. I kind of think it's like a Denver kind of, like a more majestic kind of older Denver kind of feeling. So to see that this virus affected so many people in that area is quite extraordinary to me. So it's very interesting, and it's a tough thing to get over, I guess, in a short run. So that's why I'm looking more at maybe 1 or 2 year projections now. So I think that trading, you're always think of what could happen next. That's already see, like I can say, the hammer candle is going to lead to a reversal, or I can predict a hammer candle will print when it does print on a long-term chart, and already trade believing the hammer will print. So I'm not to the middle of the game. I'm actually early to the game, right? And this all has to be contingent on, do the fundamentals look right, right? If there's a fundamental shift that will essentially change how we are looking at investing, right? This coronavirus is a fundamental shift. We're changing the way we look at uh, investing, right? How can we invest when businesses are collapsing everywhere? For example, retail stores, right? We already know that retail stores were struggling, competing with just for example, the mom and pop stores compete with the dollar store, right? We already know that exists. We've seen Macy's close down because of you know online shopping. Um, so this blow is actually because I've been in financial services. I know people use loans for businesses, right? We all know that, right? But what if happens if a lot of these risky loans all of a sudden become default, right? Well, the government's already stepped in and said, "Hey, we're probably gonna give small businesses X amount of money, that 0 interest, or we're gonna let mortgage owners not pay for a year, or don't have to pay, but the interest might still go up." Right? These are just temper. These are just solutions that may alleviate those short to medium term problems that won't relieve problems, you know, 1 or 2 years down the road. That's what we have to be afraid of. Like, what if we don't get rid of this virus, right? We quarantine America, 2 months go by, right? We unquarantine because people got to get it to work. Boom, we have a new cluster that spreads, right? Do we all have to practice social distancing until, until forever? Do we all work from home now? Right. I think I had a thought the other day. If WeWork were to have an IPO last year, I would short that shit to zero. Right? How do companies like that exist in this kind of environment? They can't. Grubhub, DoorDash, Postmates, name it, you name it, right? Chow now. They're all dependent on the restaurant surviving. Uber depends on people traveling to work. The airliners depend on people traveling to work. I think this is going to be a rude awakening to those that think uh, virtualization and bringing us one fourth into the future. That's going to be affected. throughout the board. We're just accelerating it at this point, right? I mean, that might not apply to the airlines directly, but uh, maybe in the future we don't travel in an airplane, we just travel with our minds. I don't know, fucking, I don't know. So like, so I'm thinking about, I'm here in California, smoking a fat blunt, thinking about what could happen in the future. And that's why I've been so biased short. It's because it's fucking scary. This shit is fucking scary. But I don't think we should be concerned right now. I mean, we should have the concern now, but our concern now is pretty much like just get people tested, right? As pathetic as it sounds, it's just let's get people tested and see who has it, who doesn't have it. Can I spread it if I go back home to visit my parents? Well, I don't want to know. I don't want to care. I want to take a test before I see my parents, right? Like that's shit we need to get solved now. But 1 or 2 years down the road, well, where will we be, right? What happens if this shit mutates? What happens if there's another virus that comes out? What happens if North Korea goes berserk and starts nuking people? We don't know. No, this 11-year bull run we've had, they said that last decade was the only decade in American history we did not have a recession. We did not have a recession. That's crazy talk. Whatever. I don't give a fuck. Give me the money, right? But nature versus man. Man can create whatever financial stuff they want to create. I don't think if we can combat nature here. The COVID virus is for real. I think it's for real. Sorry, I'm just rambling. Rambling, rambling, rambling. Market is so boring, guys. So boring. I mean, look at these moves that we had like for the whole day, like up, 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 up every 15 minutes, right? And we just load these baby moves. It's baby moves, right? We're coming down here in the last 30 minutes of trading, so we should have two more of these bars print. So we're near the close of the day, right? Let's go rewind, rewind. Let's go back to our trading 101. Intraday, there's a high point, there's a low point. All the computers see it on futures trading. This is the high, this is the low. Go to the high point, go to the low point, and then you continue the trend, right? If this is a bull market, you have a high point, low point, right? If it drops to the low point, you buy. Boom, right? And it goes up. Bear market, high point, low point, comes down, creates a point, say it might want to come back. It's just channeling. I don't see any direction in this. There's no news to go on. If people think that today's news was something the market was going to move on, bullshit. We all knew the first bill failed. Second bill was probably going to fail it out, you know, as well. Politics, same thing, different story. And you focus on my immunity, no blunts. I'm just kidding. I don't smoke weed. It was just for entertainment purposes. I can't talk. I can't talk. I need some liquids. Yeah, Robert. So I totally thought, it's just because of the circuit breakers. I think the circuit breakers really fuck with the market. I really just think that circuit breakers won't stop the direction. It will just stop the daily drop. That's all it does. It stops the daily drop, but it cannot reverse the direction. And by making it, you know, I don't know. They're just prolonging everything. Everything is prolonged. Because remember, time cannot be um time, in my opinion, cannot be calculated. So like if you buy my if you're buying yourself more time, right, that's a lot better than just boom, flipping on the banana, right? I think the whole spiel with all this talk on TV and why politicians do it is just to buy time, right? If you gotta do something big, you don't know what to do, you buy time, right? Where's the report? I'll have it in the afternoon. Oh fuck, I didn't do it, right? Buy time. It's just yeah, Robert, it's just these moves in this market are unbelievably large. Like intraday, like 3, 4, 5%. Holy fuck. You know what I'm talking about? Like, holy shit. You know what? I need to get better internet because I think this is not streaming as smooth as I wanted to. So I'll hook it up to the Ethernet next time. But next time I'll do some trades. Maybe tomorrow I'll start up when the market opens, but I'm a lazy piece of shit. All you need to do is have your MacBook, iPad, and your cell phone these days to trade, right? I had this crazy looking setup when I was back in Ohio. Now I just have an iMac, MacBook, iPhone, iPad. I'm literally a fucking loser now. Like, what have I become? I'm casting this with my AirPods on, my AirPod Pros, matter of fact. Yeah, John. I mean, I do get up at 6:30. I actually get up around 6, but to do this at 6 is kind of hard because my schedule in life used to be, go to sleep at 2 a.m., kind of just like do whatever. I honestly don't really have a schedule. Um, got to the point in my life where I don't have a schedule and it's just get boring. It's, life just gets boring at that point. Oh, but it's good to be back. It's good to be back. I just forgot, how much time you have to wait for a play to develop, especially because I don't want to trade JNug or JDust but anyways, JNug looks like a good long for me. Just throwing out there. I actually was looking at it because it's up like what 23% last time I looked. But I think the index trades are more reliable, as in the big swings will be there if you're patient, but there won't be anything that might surprise you. Like that one drop one day, like JNug went up, like dropped like 80% or 90% or something. That's crazy stuff. Like I don't want to be part of that. I don't want to be part of that. It sounds like a bad time. But I think if you're on the receiving end and you're able to adjust your risk and portion yourself, I think for JNug and JDust and Nugget and Dust, GDX, GDXJ, all those and related symbols. I think if you have the right proportioning, right? Let's say you have $100,000 portfolio, right? If you're putting like 50 grand on that stuff, you're crazy, right? You probably need like you can double your money easily, 5 grand, and that's out of a 100K portfolio. So like if you're going all in, I feel like it's not. I mean, like no lie, I did pretty good on JNUG or JDST, but when I got back and I saw that drop in my long-term portfolio, I actually exited a lot of that GDX and GXJ because I saw that divergence on gold. Only half though, and then I got crushed immediately after. I looked at it, I'm like, holy fuck, this thing still moves like it's on crack. I find the index trades to be a lot more reliable, and especially just being a passive trader in the last few years, a lot more reliable, a lot bigger in gains in terms of doing nothing, right? If you're trading GX and GXJ, you're essentially glued to the TV because any one thing can break that trade, right? With the market collapse, you had many days to exit that trade. But with GDX, GXJ, if you literally, it can take overnight, it can drop 30%. That's how volatile that thing goes. And it's always like it wants to be based in correlation with um, the market, right? With the equities drop, miners drop too as well. And it has this weird loving with gold because I've always understood miners that when gold goes up, the miners make and a lot more money because their fixed costs are fixed, right? So if their sell cost goes up, I mean their sell revenue goes up, you would think they make a lot more revenue, right? We were playing with miners when gold was like 1300, gold goes up to 1600, 1700, right? Why not all the way to the top? So, but the thing with miners was miners barely made it past 2017 points. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not too sure about that stuff. But anyways, it would be foolish not to sell, right? Big gains in the last few years, but now you got to restart over in just overnight. Like you can literally work. I don't care how good of a trader you are. You get caught with your pants down, overnight drop of 80%. Boom, you're fucked. Like how do you recover from that if you're 100% in? You don't. There's something about those miners that move these days that I really don't trust them. I mean, back when we were trading them, it was somewhat of a depressed price. So there wasn't a lot of manipulation is, but I feel like every time this miners gets up, it just gets dropped on its head. And it just comes down as a door rock. And trust me, the reason why is because I left a bad taste in my mouth. I didn't make as much as I wanted to in the end after going along after a few years. And I don't know. But yeah, back to square one, exactly, Robert. So I mean, I don't think it's the same thing with. I mean, I don't like, for example, tech is held up pretty well, right? You can say coronavirus facilitates tech. Yeah, that's true. Coronavirus does facilitate tech. That's why the Nasdaq, went up 1% today. It's because it's pretty damn strong. The only thing is, all the companies in the Nasdaq, well, most of the companies in the Nasdaq don't make that much money. Things about the money, money, money. It's about the PE ratios, right? Like last time I checked, this I don't know if Costco's in the Nasdaq, probably not, but like just for example, Costco's trading at 300 plus per share a week ago, right? Or 2 weeks ago. And the PE ratio was what, like 30 or something like that, right? So like this is a grocery store pretty much, a wholesale grocery store that sells electronics and home goods. Um, don't understand how a company can still be that inflated, right? So that's why I don't really like fundamentals because it's something that would seem too expensive for me, the price can still go up. For example, i.e., I'm sorry, e.g., Tesla 3 months ago. Tesla can blow up crazy to the upside, but it can also come to the downside pretty easily too as well. So that's why I don't really believe in the fundamental prospect. I actually do always call out a lot of my friends. Um, that do fundamental analysis. Like, why are you doing this? None of your numbers make sense. They never are true. They're only true because you make them true, right? Yeah, I think I saw Gush or one of those one. I think they've been. I don't know. They should probably delist those. People still know how to trade. Probably shouldn't trade those. It's nice and easy, Double your money shorting SPX. Who doesn't like doing that? Again, I just want to say I'm very privileged that I was able to close at the top. Maybe that's given me maybe more confidence I need on the short side. So gotta keep myself in check or I'll wreck myself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. So, I was actually messing around with creating a podcast, but I realized I have no like no ability, no video editing ability, no writing ability. I can just pretty much talk, 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 and you guys listen to me. So I was gonna go that route, but it's probably not gonna be that route. But I would love to keep trading online with you guys. I can't promise I'll be at the mic the whole time, but I will certainly leave my laptop streaming my trading view charts. Um, I can just put up entries and exits too as well. Just to because I'm always brainstorming, right? Brainstorming for the next trade. I don't care if it's 1% scalp or a big 30% play. Things happen, things change constantly. You guys know this, so that's what I something I want to do in the past. Um, Oh, they're closing 8 ETFs? Good. They'll fucking suck. Whoever's shorting them must be a fucking having the grand time of their life. Let's get hit with an 80% pop. Yeah, so we have a little bit of time left. We have around 15 minutes left. Markets, again, going sideways. We pivot to the low side. We're kind of just hanging out here. Oh, and guess what? I literally, okay, so so what am I? So this is actually pretty important. So one of my relatives makes clothing apparel in China. In the last few months or so, they converted that factory, a big factory, right? Imagine a big apparel. This is not just like a little sweatshop in the hole in the wall, right? This is a big factory. They converted to making surgical masks and also N95s and other protective medical gear because obviously no one's buying apparel. And I just got a text because they got FDA listed and thinking about importing and just pretty much donating to the hospitals here. I just got a text that says, as of last night, the Chinese government officially blocked all medical supplies out of China. Do not order from China. We will not get the stuff. Blah 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 blah. Ordered a lot of masks and they're not able to ship them out. So essentially, China's not letting the medical shit being shipped out, which is fucking crazy. Just got this in my text message. Yeah, it's very interesting stuff. I mean, I knew it was for a fact 2 or 3 weeks ago. I knew for a fact because the New York Times had a article about it, and honestly sounded reasonable to me because why would you? Why would you? I mean, you have a crisis in your own company. And then I've gotten calls about, them actually releasing masks outside of the country, because a lot of my friends are wholesaler merchants too as well. And uh, I mean, I thought the restriction because my understanding as opposed to just 5 minutes ago was that because the infections are going down in China, they're now having the supply, and because they're now ramping up production, now have the supply to start exporting. But this test explicitly says no exports, and they're seizing. Uh, Actually, I just lied. They're not seizing. They're just not letting the exports leave. Chinese government blocked all medical supplies out of China. It's probably because they just give it to Jack Ma and they make him look good. Honestly, that's probably it. Like, right? If America is gonna go ahead and piss off China, trade talks, Chinese virus, I personally don't care. Whatever. Um, I mean, China's gonna probably have some kind of retaliation. I mean, this is kind of shitty, but it's what you get for, I guess, basing everything in another country for profits. I feel like this is gonna bring a lot of American manufacturing back to the U.S., but no, won't necessarily increase GDP because we have robots. I mean, like, sucks. Like, how can we bring back manufacturing where everyone's pushing for robots? and the rest of the school year canceled. That sounds about right, I think. My sister has class come back, uh, come back this week, online classes. My girlfriend is a PhD student at UCLA, so she's actually teaching right now too. So they're coming back next week. I'm actually really pissed because I had this nice vacation planned, going to Hawaii, but obviously no, can't do it anymore. I was gonna visit back home in Philadelphia, see my house didn't burn down. Can't visit no more. Well, actually, I can. I just don't want to get stuck one place. That's my only issue. I'm feeling they close down the airports. I think they did something with New York and Philadelphia airports already, but I'm just scared that close down the airports. 10 minutes to market close. 10 minutes to market close. So it's really not doing anything, right? We can get a little fibs out, right? So if we close at 225, I would not be surprised because that's literally the 50%. 50% of the move today is 225. Would not be surprised. Oh, I'm sorry. Those were the wrong numbers. What am I saying? 224. Okay, 224. I've lost my touch. 224 around the 50% of taste, the whole big movement. We end up at 224 close. Won't be surprised. Literally, wow. Wow. Right? Not surprised. Make it a little time frame. Looks more exciting. So boring. Oh, 224. So exciting. Oh. So you can see the big drops we've had in a minute. That's clearly either rebalancing. Margin calls, rebalancing. There's a high point, there's a low point. We want to go one way, the high or to the low. Honestly, I think that's the close. I don't think we're to have anything real crazy here pop up in the last 10 minutes here or so. Last 8 minutes or 6 minutes or so. I'm sorry. Oh, my back hurts. Yo, if it closes at 224, yo, who's back? Back. Actually, theoretically, it should close at 223.83. 223.80, which is round. Robert, it's just going up and down. Literally, none of this matters. Although I will be pleasantly surprised if it does pop positive here. Right, positive is all the way over here, 228. 224. Let's see it. 224. See where it prints. And thing's broken. Hey, broke. Let's go up. It's interesting because like all this happening is way more than happened last, 1 hour I've been talking to you guys, right? So last hour, I think it's very important when it comes to trading to see where it wants to go. It clearly wants to go up here towards covering. I don't know. I don't use volume. I think it's a false indication at times. All I know is that there's this 50% point this thing wants to navigate to by the end of the day. So I'm calling it 24 by close. And you could have traded this too. There's a low point, high point. You go one way. You set your tops, right? A new high has been made, a new low has been made, whatever. Tag in and set your stops that way. Two thirty close. 230 close. You wish. You wish. It is just bound by algorithms. It's like unbelievably. Right. So just look at that orange line I have here. Again, that orange 223, 80, 83. This is what it looks like. Right. So we either end up at the line, higher than the line, below the line. I think either at the line or below the line. I think all of this is just running stop losses. The action may be dead. That's the only thing. I think the action already came. It popped to 219 to 225 into the day trade. Hmm. All right, DJK, stay safe out there. Wash your hands. DJK, you work for Wells Fargo? I actually do need to run to the bank because I don't have any checks. Ooh. Oh. 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 Interesting. Very interesting. So, again, 324 was a control point. He just doesn't want to go there. I think it's gonna go down tomorrow. Right. We have the high and the low. We got the middle. 50% retrace. I'm a clone guy. Clearly, the 50% went high and low. Try the top twice. Try the bottom twice. both rejected. Battle was at the 50%. Bears destroyed them in the last minute. Tricks, Trixie, a tricky market player. What? So I guess that's it for today. A little short video. I'll try to get back into this as we go along here. Um, but that was a pretty incredible drop at the end of the day there. So that to me feels like that. I mean, it definitely is bull selling because I don't imagine someone shorts into the end of the day like that. Looks like a dump, like a margin call or something like that. Anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll try to come on maybe earlier in the day, 9:30. Postponed. But everyone stay healthy and stay safe, everyone. I'll see you guys next time.